Hello and welcome to Freehand Lines. Now I often get asked about pens and what pens I use. There's a selection of pens that I can use or use for artwork, and they all share one thing in common. They are all fine liners, and they're all called something called a fade-proof and waterproof pigment ink. That's really important because these pens won't bleed when you wet them. They'll dry almost automatically straight away, and they are permanent, so they also won't degrade in daylight, which is again important. Although watercolor will degrade in daylight, these won't. So I'll show you the sort of line that they produce. Now these pens are very fine. They're 0.05 millimeter. That's the finest pen you can get. You can get them in a range of sizes. You can go up to about 2 millimeters in size, so quite a big variance in size. These are all 0.1s, 0.05s. This is a 0.1, and I'll just show how these work. So in terms of pens, it gives quite a nice line. I'm trying to see, just doing some testing lines here. Now, I tend to doodle a lot with my pens, and I do that all the time, and I think I tend to doodle both curves, and also I tend to doodle straight lines, and this is a way of training the hand to work out exactly how to control the pen. The biggest issue people have with pens when drawing lines, etc., is that they lead with the hand. Now, as you see what I've just done here, is that if you try and draw a straight line when you lead with the hand, you will find yourself that the line will tend to go off. It will tend, no matter which way you go, the line will tend to go off, and that's because your hand is limiting. And what you need to do is lead with the actual pen itself. So you have to focus on the pen nib and where it's actually going, and then you can draw really quite straight lines. So I practice this quite often, and my art sort of depends on straight lines, but ultimately you don't need to. Certain people do different styles of drawing, and there are different styles that actually all look good. So you can see these are pretty straight lines, and I can do that pretty much constantly. There are a few techniques you can use to get a straight line, and we're going to explore some of them now. As I said, you don't need to do these lines straight. Other people do different options to get straight lines, and I'll show little shortcuts as well. So the way you do it is you hold the pen about a third way back. So that gives enough distance, because what you're going to have to do is to actually move your hand to adjust for the line. And what's really important here is micro adjustments. So in a way, the best way to start training doing this is actually doing something like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm micro adjusting. I am making the line adjust as I need it to actually make sure it's straight. And that's really the principle for drawing a straight line. So little micro adjustments as you go allows you to create straight lines. You will see some artists will actually take the pen further back and will actually do a line like this, and they will purposely make that line quite wobbly, and that's a really nice technique. And the reason you do that is because when you hold it further back, you've got more control. You see, my hand is doing this, and in doing that, I'm not being misled by actually that orientation. So this is a lot easier in terms of getting a straight line. But because you're further away from the nib, you end up with more wobble naturally. So you just go with it. You just go with a wobble, and you can create some quite fantastic wobbly lines. And that's a nice way of sketching, and you can sketch things quite quickly by doing that technique. So there are other ways. Another kind of popular way, I think, is to dot lines. I think this is what I tend to do quite often as well, especially if the shape is slightly complex. Your mind will fill in the gaps. It will see a line, it will fill in the gaps, and this can have a really human feel. For example, if I'm doing a straight line like this and I make a mistake like that, rather than trying to continue it like that where I get a bump, what is often better is if I go, oops, then if I just start again, that will allow me to make mistakes and it will still look convincing as a line. I find vertical lines are a tad easier than horizontal ones because the actual hand is a little bit limited. So what I'll do in that case is I will turn around the page and do the same process in that direction. And if you want a vertical line, do the same again in different directions, continuously at different degrees. That will allow you to create different lines in different forms. I hope that's been useful. I think, lines are one of those things. I think just practice, doodle as much as you can, and you'll get to a place where you can actually create really lines that you can really kind of work for you and your art, and experiment. These kind of techniques are all about creating something which suits your work and create something that people find enjoyable. Thanks for listening.